This is the motorized walking AT-AT from LEGO. It's a 1,137-piece set that released in 2007 as part of the Star Wars theme. With its incredibly unique power function features, this iconic set is worth a closer look. At first glance, this AT-AT looks just like any other Star Wars set, but that's certainly not the case for this unique walker. The gray exterior armor plates remove very easily here to reveal an intricate Technic skeleton and working driveline. These plates do a great job at making the set look like a normal Star Wars set, and also provide easy access to the motorized interior. This is the included Power Functions battery pack, which runs on 6 AA batteries. An official LEGO cord piece connects to the LEGO motor, and that is what powers this AT-AT. Simply flip this yellow lever forward to activate the motor. A green light illuminates when you flip the yellow switch forward to indicate that power is on. The driveline is all Technic based, and it has been designed to allow all 4 legs to articulate properly for walking. A gray lever arm attaches to the orange switch on top of the power pack. This is what turns the model on and off. It's important to note here that the model is capable of walking both in forward and reverse motion. Here you can see the yellow lever switching between all 3 power modes: forward, stop, and reverse. You'll notice a complex series of gears near the front of the AT-AT that actually has several different functions. Here's a closer look at the gears in motion with the power on. Now this is actually running at real-time speed. I'll go ahead and speed it up here as well so you can get an idea of the full gear cycle. So you'll notice that these gears not only run the legs of the AT-AT, you can see the shoulders actually moving up and down there, but notice that it actually provides some neck motion as well. So this is one really cool feature of this model. The neck sort of makes a big circle as the gears progress through their range here. This is a very cool feature, and LEGO did an awesome job designing this, getting not only the leg motion but also the head motion as well. Here's a look now from underneath the model. You'll notice that there are some bigger chunky gears, as I like to call them, that attach to the legs and provide motion there. A lot of people have trouble with this model walking correctly after it's built, and I think that's the culprit here, is that these gears have a lot of play, so there's a lot of room for error when this model is placed under load. There's also a lot of room for the gears to shift around just throughout normal playware and storage and things like that. Moving down the model, you can see the connected drive shaft here, and this also connects to the rear legs. Here we'll notice that the chunky gears are responsible for powering the rear legs as well. I definitely think this design could be improved with some tighter gearing, and I'll show you what I mean here in just a second. So of course the big question, does the walker actually walk? Finally, we have success here on a smooth concrete surface. You'll probably notice a few things in common that cause this walker to fail on the outside terrain. It simply does not pick its feet up very much, so any sort of irregularity in the terrain is going to cause this thing to hang up and stumble down. These are fresh batteries that I've put in as well, and the walker simply does not have a lot of power to overcome any obstacles or drag. As I mentioned earlier with those chunky gears, there is a lot of play in the system, so any sort of irregularity is going to throw off the walk cycle pretty dramatically. It does struggle a little bit, even just moving forward on the vinyl flooring. However, even with the low clearance of the feet, it still manages to sort of slide over that terrain fairly easily. Now, of course, we couldn't have a motorized walking AT-AT video without seeing if we can take it down with a snow speeder. So here I have my original snow speeder set. This is one of the first LEGO sets that I ever got, actually, for my birthday, and looks like the walker is proving surprisingly resilient here. I think the slick floor is actually helping it glide along, even with the legs bound up. So we're gonna go ahead and cheat a little bit and use a little bit of power that snow speeder probably doesn't have in the movies, but we can provide that because we are much bigger than the AT-AT here, and it does take a lot of force to knock it over. So it looks like this AT-AT is actually weak to the grass type and very strong against snow speeders, surprisingly enough, given how easily it fell down before, and quite a bit more menacing from this angle. Looks like we still have plenty of power to knock over a couple minifigures, and we'll go ahead and show a front view of the walk cycle here. I like to show this view because it does illustrate the head movement as we walk through the gearing here, and a closer look inside the cockpit here as the AT-AT progresses forward. And just for fun, a deconstructed walk cycle here. I kind of like the zombie-like appearance that this thing gives off. It's actually kind of a creepy stop-motion animated type look. Alright, now that we've got through the walking, we're going to go ahead and take a look at the visual overview of this model. You can see my UCS AT-AT there in the background. I would say that it does perform as advertised. It is quite tall and actually pretty imposing in scale. I think that the proportions overall look very good here. The feet are appropriately large to provide provide not only a base for walking, but also to provide some scale for the minifigures. This thing does look like a large, imposing, intimidating walking tank, just like we do see for the first time on HOTH. I think LEGO did a great job getting the overall look of the AT-AT here, while also providing the motorized functions. The legs overall are pretty simple, but they get the job done. You'll notice right away that there is a big gap in the cockpit paneling. If you do want General Veers to stand inside the cockpit, unfortunately the hatch does not quite close all the way. Here we do have some very nice touches with the printed armor panels. These kind of cover the leg joints here as well. And then moving down the legs, we do have some secondary printed armored joint panels as well. So overall, this model looks very finished, I would say. Now we do have 4 minifigures included in this set. There is an AT-AT driver with the Stormtrooper variant helmet, and the General Veers minifigure does only have one side of the face print, so you only get the visor version of this minifigure. We do have a classic Snowtrooper with backpack as well that was very common during this time period. And then of course we do get a Luke Skywalker who does have the tan face print, and I do believe an updated Rebel pilot helmet for this minifigure. You'll notice that this is the older style Stormtroopers as well, so they just have the black heads. There is no face printing or expressions on these minifigures. My favorite minifigure here is probably the AT-AT driver. I love what they did here with the classic Stormtrooper helmet and then just giving him some unique printing there. There is also an included Lego cord, so Luke can dangle from the bottom of the AT-AT shortly before he blows it up. And here for comparison is Luke from the UCS AT-AT. Here is a closer look at the paneling gaps in the front cockpit, so we'll go ahead and lift that up here, and you'll notice what I'm talking about. The 2 minifigures just barely fit in here, so there is room for the pilot to sit at the controls, and then General Veers stands, I would say, uncomfortably close behind the pilot here. And with the General standing like that, you are unable to close that front hatch completely. I think they could have done a little better job there of making sure that those 2 minifigures fit in, but overall, once again, it does get the job done here. You'll notice a generic control panel there for the pilot. I would have liked to see that include the shell generator like they do with the UCS set, just to give it a little bit more touch of realism for the movies. In comparison, the UCS AT-AT has ample room in the cockpit with 2 built seats for the pilots, and General Veers even has his own stand in the back, his own command center where he is free to stand up without inhibiting the closure of the hatch. So of course it's tough to compare the UCS set to this 2007 motorized sort of unicorn set, but overall it shows that the motorized walking AT-AT had to first walk so that the UCS AT-AT could run. Just 2 1x1 studs to hold on an entire panel just seems like a really bad choice, and this kept snapping off a ton during my testing. One thing I noticed in my extensive playing with the set was just how fragile it was. So it seems like LEGO's primary goal was to make this thing actually walk, which is very impressive in and of itself. However, I think aspects such as the aesthetics with the panel gaps and things such as overall durability really took a back seat in the design here. Another weak point I noticed was these printed joint pieces. Those are just a very superficial press fit, and I've actually lost 2 of these during my walking testing, and I had to go back and find them in the grass because they just fall off so easily. The feet were a common problem as well, especially as they drag on the ground. It's just a very simple press connection for the feet to attach onto the legs, so any sort of irregularity in the terrain can knock those off easily. And then of course the infamous front panels, where once again you're trying to fix those panel gaps, you're trying to make it look good, and oh, there your panel just comes off. And that's one of those things where the more you try to fix it, the more pieces keep coming off. This was actually a very frustrating experience for me. The guns here on the front being another weak point. It's nice that the guns are posable, but they barely click in, and once again, just barely touching them provides a lot of havoc here, demonstrating the gaps in the panel and just how difficult it is to get that to look good. Its natural default state is to just have a giant gap in the visor. One very durable piece of the set that actually really surprised me, considering how sort of fragile the rest of the set is this carry handle on the top. You can lift the entire AT-AT up here with ease. This carry handle never failed on me throughout my extensive testing, and walking around with this thing kind of like my own personal Lego briefcase. The carry handle did an awesome job, formed exactly as described. I was able to carry the entire weight of this thing without issue. And one final fun fact on the front guns here is that you can individually pose the bottom laser cannons, so they have that awesome alternating look just like we have in the movies. This set originally retailed for $129.99 USD, back in 2007 on Lego.com, and Lego recommends this set for age 14 plus builders. Although I find the minifigure selection to be rather lackluster, just the insane uniqueness of the set alone makes it worth picking up. Lego really went out on a limb here and sort of deviated from the normal Lego Star Wars sets by releasing this motorized beast. Despite the overall fragility and the sloppiness of the driveline, this set does deliver what was promised and provides a real, functioning, walking AT-AT, which absolutely blew my mind back in 2007. It even holds up here next to the newer AT-ST model and would make a fine addition to any Star Wars fan's collection. It's easy for Lego fans to feel spoiled nowadays with all of the awesome sets we had, but it's always fun to take a look back in time at some of these unique sets that provided a ton of awesome memories. Well, there you have it, the motorized walking AT-AT. Please like and subscribe and comment below your thoughts on this Star Wars Power Functions set. Thanks for stopping by.